Hello, my name is Cameron Ostrowski and I'm a political science major here at Bloomsburg University. Today I will be discussing the U.S. involvement in combating terrorism in the Middle East. On September 11, 2001, the United States experienced one of the first full-fledged terrorist attacks, killing numerous people. The reason that this attack was so important is because this was the first time the media really covered it and brought the realization of something like this happening into the public's eye. For most of the 20th and 21st century, the United States has had global interests in the Middle East. It began with President Woodrow Wilson, who created the League of Nations, which handed out colonial boundaries in the Middle East. Flash forward a bit into regional politics. During the Cold War, the United States fought to fight the spread of terrorism to ensure a steady oil supply to the nation and making sure that no single power dominated the region. The repetitive reasoning for our involvement is oil supply. Overall, another reason for the U.S. involvement in the Middle East is that they supported Israel. In 1948, the United States was one of the first few nations to recognize Israel as a separate country as they kicked out the Palestinians. The United States has been involved in many governments in this area. Iran was one of the first places the United States acted as a colonial power, overthrowing a constitutional government, a popular government, and a government that had a huge parliamentary majority. Due to the United States' economic interests and deals in the Middle East, the United States took center stage in combating terrorism in this area. The United States' image in the Middle East is very important. Currently, there are 9,800 troops stationed in Afghanistan as of a survey conducted in 2005. 44,800 troops are spread throughout countries under the U.S. Central Command Area of Responsibility. The U.S. declared that the following countries are under the terror umbrella: Iraq, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Syria, Iran, Kuwait, and Lebanon. Presidential administration is one of the main reasonings for our involvement, and I'm going to discuss the difference between the Obama administration and the Trump administration, as they are the most recent influential policies. Under the Obama administration, he outlined Afghanistan, Pakistan, Libya, Yemen, Somalia, Iraq, and Syria as threats to the United States' national security. Under the Obama administration, they began to withdraw troops and our presence in the Middle East. Under the Trump administration, he wanted to place a travel ban on quote-unquote countries of concern, some of which were identified under the Obama administration already as threats. The restriction would have been placed on Iraq, Syria, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. Next, I will discuss our influence in these countries. In Afghanistan, for example, the United States has been stationed here for multiple years to protect its citizens and to strengthen the security. In Libya, there's a strong Islamic movement involved in the civil war, and the United States is present in Libya because of the lack of security and the idea that Libya has become a high threat environment to the United States. In Yemen, al-Qaeda groups have consistently made threats and have exhibited their capability to target important areas that include government, security, and intelligence officials. Recently, President Trump ordered preemptive strikes on Yemen, and the United States will continue to target the al-Qaeda groups stationed here. In Somalia, more troops are stationed to monitor the threats made by the al-Shabaab terrorist network. In Iraq, the United States is stationed to help with the humanitarian crisis and potential threats made from the Islamic State. In Syria, we are stationed there to help the rebels fight against the Islamic State and the government overall. We are also stationed there to help with the current humanitarian crisis going on. One thing that people really don't discuss is, should we be involved in the Middle East? And one thing people need to realize is that most American citizens do not want to be involved in the Middle East. In a survey done of 834 people who were likely to vote for the next U.S. House and Senators, 89% voted that foreign policy is the number one candidate position that they look for. 77% support withdrawal from Afghanistan. 42% want less involvement in Syria, and 50% do not support the involvement in the Middle East. 19 U.S. embassies currently remain closed today in the Middle East, and overall half of the U.S. population doesn't even support the U.S. involvement. Public media shows a different side and focus on other things to discuss during campaigns when the thing that really matters is foreign policy. Overall, the United States has a very influential role in the Middle East. They combat terrorism for many reasons and try to control attacks and threats from these extremist groups located in most of these countries. They help with humanitarian relief and crises, and the U.S. shows a leading role in this by helping out other countries and kind of showing how to do what. The presidency itself is very influential, and their decisions and policies influence our involvement overall. We're combating high-level threat areas, and because of our economic role in the Middle East, oil trade is something that we are heavily involved in. About 23% of imported oil comes from the Middle East. The United States has a huge role in the Middle East, whether it is showing a leading role helping with humanitarian crises, whether it's trading with other countries, or whether it's there to help protect both the citizens and strengthen our national security as a country.